my name is Palma Accardi, and you are watching Tidal Flooding Talk. We're here at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City and brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition.
I'm meteorologist Dan Skelton. Thanks for joining us on a beautiful Sunday. If you like rain and wind, it's kind of a washout. There's no Eagles game on right now, and as we learned last week, Palma, there's no Dallas game on right now. So there'll be no rooting for the Eagles and against the Cowboys until about an hour and a half from now. So it's going to be a quiet setting. And we're, of course, joined by a familiar guest of Tidal Flooding Talk and a great South Jersey meteorologist, Joe Martucci from the Press of Atlantic City. Joe?
Pleasure to be here.
Great to have you back.
Thank you so much.
And Baltimore Ravens fan. Now,
right. A winning Baltimore Ravens.
For now, so he may be distracted tonight. We'll give him a score updates. My Patriots play tomorrow night, so no distractions here. Joe, great to have you back.
Thanks,
and thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem. And I think, so this is my fourth time, and I believe 3 of the times it was rain when I've been here.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm sorry.
So next time we know you're coming, we just put rain in the forecast ahead of time.
That's right.
You could even
Book me for like next year, and then just put rain in the
most
forecast.
accurate forecast 2 months in advance.
Bringer of the rain, Joe Martucci.
Can I give a shout out to Nick Hubos, who's behind the camera, who after badgering him for months, he's our sports editor at the Press, he has come to Tidal Flooding Talk today.
And it's great to have Nicholas
It is
here.
very great to have him here today.
Another asset to the Press of Atlantic City. And of course, you can come join Nick Cuba at the bar. He's having the bacon burger and fries. And we're always welcome guests. Again, we're brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition. You can watch live on Facebook every Sunday or come right on down. And Nick's our studio audience tonight.
We get a couple other people here.
Right,
Get someone to get a picture
Nick
before.
anchors the studio audience tonight.
Right.
Right, and that burger does look really good. Hopefully my stomach doesn't growl during the show.
It does. It's good here at the bar.
And before we get started tonight, the Coalition does have a message that salt marshes and streams are nature's way of protecting us from flooding. Protect these floodplains by slowing your boat speed, reducing fertilizer use, and minimizing hardscaping for improved water permeation.
All right, we welcome Joe back, and Joe, as a 4-time guest now over the past couple of years, and just as someone who continues to have a growing following in South Jersey, I don't think you need much of an introduction, but just a couple of sentences about who you are, how people can follow you, and what brought you here.
Sure. Well, I think I would like to start by saying I'm a meteorologist for one of the most interesting places to forecast in New Jersey, if not even the most interesting place to forecast. When I do talks, I tell people, I said, I've been around the state. I've been in 3 of the 4 corners of the state. If you want to go northwest, northeast, southwest, northeast. And I feel like southeastern New Jersey, weather matters more because if it's not tourism, it's agriculture, or it's fishing. Those are all heavily reliant on the weather. So I went to Rutgers University, got a degree in meteorology. I'm a New Jersey native. I'm not from South Jersey, but I like to think I am at this point.
Coach?
I'm not the football coach, but actually, funny story. I won't go on too much of a tangent, but my freshman year, guy who was from Mattawan, and wanted to know if I was related to this Joe Martucci. He's a very popular high school football coach. But went to Rutgers University, got a degree in meteorology, worked in weather consulting in Hackettstown, New Jersey, for a company called WeatherWorks. And now I'm here at the Press. I've been here for a little over 2 years. I'm also on Chasing News every once in a while. You can see that on Fox 29. So a couple of different things here, but definitely a joy to be down here in Southeast New Jersey. Really have liked it. Very, very much.
Now, 2 years ago, what did you expect from the Press of Atlantic City, and is it what you expected?
Yeah, I would say overall yes. And again, this is something I tell people all the time. I mean, I really am not kidding. If I got offered this job, I would have taken 10 times out of 10. I enjoy writing, but it's a nice blend of doing videos, writing, social media, being out, and a lot of flexibility to kind of do what you want. And I think that's where what I expected going in has matched what has gone over time, where I've been able to go out and explore and do kind of weather stories that may be a little scientific-y, or go out to Western Cumberland County and hang out with people out there. And as far as some differences, or maybe not what I would expect. I mean, I never I guess just a lot of resources like through the press, like having whether it's photographers or camera people come out. Like we were just in a cranberry bog on Friday. Like that was kind of cool to do that. You know, it's interesting being the only meteorologist. I mean, Dan can probably attest to this. I mean, coming from a job where I was with 30 meteorologists to now it's just me, is different in ways because it's kind of like you're falling on your own sword all the time. Hopefully not very often, but
it's not very often with you. And I know, I mean you're a great South Jersey forecaster. The longer you're here, the better you become. You learn the nuances. And, you know, newspaper meteorologists, something that is kind of unheard of 5-10 years ago, but I know it's a little bit of a growing trend.
Yeah.
You know, as newspapers change with the times as well, you're seeing more and more, you know, kind of delve into this because, like you said, it's multifaceted, the job you do, writing and forecasting, and videos, and community work as well.
Yeah, and you know, and from a strictly news perspective, I mean, I'm almost kind of like a breaking news reporter, right? I mean, you know, car or a tree fell on a home, you know, from strong winds. I mean, that's a breaking news story you can get out. Power outages. You know, we're in a coastal flood warning, which we've had many of in the past couple of weeks. So you can kind of see it that way too. But there is, you know, I would say a small community, but a slowly growing community. And I think we've said this before. I mean, Chris Floral, who was our executive editor, great foresight to have you come and then to try to follow in the footsteps here.
Now, I think even with the science that is involved, your articles are easy to read. And, you know, especially when you are reading an article about weather and not watching it live, it's important to be able to get the information out without people, you know, getting lost.
Yeah, and that's a real thing that meteorologists have kind of always tried to grapple with, and especially in recent years have really made a good push to have social scientists involved with messaging, specifically for hurricanes alive, and trying to make it very easy for people to understand. Because, you know, we're going through a forecast. I mean, you know, Dan can tell you too. We're looking at plots, numbers, and, you know, to us, you know, numbers come pretty easily, right, Dan? Numbers come pretty easily.
They do.
But it's amazing because you're just not. You think about it, like some people like when words are easier to come across than numbers. So, you know, it's always trying to break down the science into different ways. And, you know, I think just by being here and writing and working with, you know, professional writers, you were talking about specifically typing out pieces, you learn a lot that way. And of course, you know, the videos are driving a lot of engagement.
Now, what's your focus now as we move through fall, we move towards the end of hurricane season? What we're getting outside today, I know you've talked about, is the fringes of something that was once briefly tropical.
Right.
You know, so we're moving out of tropical season into Noreaster season. We've had some tidal flooding, like Palmer mentioned, over the past few weeks. What's your focus now? What's your message over the next few weeks? Are you working on a winter forecast?
Yeah. So we've had a lot of questions about winter forecasts. You know, I don't want to. I kind of do my own winter forecasting. I do lean heavily upon other people that I trust because winter forecasting, like maybe some people don't realize, like it takes hundreds of hours to really from scratch, from start to finish, to do your own winter forecast. So really, what I like to do is take some sources that I like and kind of tweak it for southeastern New Jersey. You know, when that means a lot of emphasis on coastal flooding, and go that way. So that, you know, I would say in next week, I'm going to have a pretty good idea of how I want to present winter forecast because I have a decent amount of talks coming up that want to know about the winter forecast, so it might be out of necessity.
I don't want to know.
That's fine. That is great. But, you know, there are people who want to know, and I want to know too. So, you know, I want to dive into it. But, you know, there's that, and then really just some things we're working on in-house. You know, we're working on a pretty big contest. We like to say, regarding snowfall is coming up.
You've really done that last year as well.
We did that last year. You know, slightly different than Dan's first inch of snow, and he comes out and shovels. We were trying to do, you know, I thought something where you got a couple of locations, pick that location, and guess how many inches of snow or sleet you would see during the season. So we're trying to do something more with that. So, you know, really, you know, for the people who are watching or writing, look for a couple of stories to come out in the next 2 weeks by me, more than just your weather column. We'll have one on fall foliage, one about preventing frost in the pine barrens for farmers, and then we're going to have for our Reinventing the AC year-long series. We're doing climate change from the month of November, so I'm going to be kind of opening up the month with that. So you'll see a lot of content from me over the next 2 weeks.
Well, I've seen like you've recently posted about a drought, a frost advisory, a tropical storm. Do you think that it's normal for our area to be experiencing such a wide variety of weather at this time of year?
Yeah, I would say it's relatively common. I mean, you're thinking of fall. Typically, it's drier, so drought. Drought is uncommon, of course. Otherwise, we wouldn't call it drought. But you can get into dry spells. You can get into tropical influence. So that's what we're having, kind of today. And with frost, we're getting cooler. So I wouldn't say it's rare. It's probably uncommon to have all three in a 3-day time span. But it is something.
We've had a little bit of practice with tidal flooding over the past few weeks.
Yes.
We had a storm way off the coast. That only gave us tidal flooding, and then we had a storm last week with a lot of rain and wind and a little tidal/poised drainage flooding. I mean, is this the time of year? Since we don't usually get a lot of hurricanes in the summer, in a good year, and tidal flooding is at a minimum during the summer. Is there a message you give to coastal residents and visitors who are still here? As far as tidal flooding goes, and any inklings as to, is this going to get active? Does the active start to the season in October portend something busier throughout the season in terms of tidal flooding?
Yeah, so going off of that, I mean, from what I've seen so far in terms of a winter forecast, it does look to be active again. I don't know how much down the rabbit hole we want to go on the El Nino and the Medecky El Nino and all that, but long story short, it does look to be active again. And it was last year, and the thing kind of, I would say, expect similar tones to a winter forecast in southeastern Jersey last year, which is, we look to be active, which means a lot of coastal flooding, but are we going to be wet or white? I think I'm going to try to get us to an answer sometime next week. I'm going to look into it. Just not there just yet, but in terms of coastal flooding, you really don't like these early season storms because they chop away at the beach. We're talking about beach erosion. So I was in Avalon last Monday. And I'm not kidding, I mean, there were 12-foot cliffs of sand. And it wasn't everywhere, but they were in spots. And that's in October. And, when you think about coastal storm season, you're going all the way until April.
Right.
So we're just starting, we're already seeing this. So, it doesn't, we'll always, repair and replenish the beach, but it's just not a good sign to have it, so early. And, another thing too, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I know the question you were going to ask was about, the flooding we've had, and we haven't had coastal flooding with, just rain and this kind of weather. People think of coastal flooding, they think of this kind of weather, but, 2 weeks ago, we had coastal flooding where it was mostly sunny out, and it just goes to tell people, rain does not have much to do with coastal flooding. Oftentimes it will come with that, but it doesn't necessarily have to do. It just really has to do with which way the winds are blowing, how long they're blowing for, and how strong they're blowing for, and of course a full or new moon. And all those things do not have to revolve around rain. I think that's important to tell people, because I'll still get, you get messages like, oh, I'll just give you a specific example. Somebody I knew in Tom's River said something along the lines of, oh, I'm glad we're not getting all this rain you are because coastal flooding looks bad there. And it's kind of like, no, we're not getting any rain. It's just the coastal flooding that's happening.
Right. And I remember people on the mainland say, hey, what storm?
Yeah, right.
While people in Ventnor, are suffering with road closures. And like you said, rain can make it worse. So you have tidal flooding, and if you get rain that has nowhere to go, it adds to the water level. But you're right, you don't need rain to bring on tidal flooding. Just
Yeah,
what it suggests is tidal.
And we know where that occurs, but why and when does that coastal flooding occur when there is no rain that's accompanying?
Yeah, so it's really going to be a coastal storm that's far enough offshore where we're still getting the wind, but we're just not getting the precipitation. So going back to 2 weeks ago as our most recent example, it was raining 100 miles offshore, but it wasn't raining here, but we still got those wind impacts. So that can happen. I mean, can't help me out here, what are some other northeast wind situations? I mean, you can have a backdoor cold front come through, bring northeast winds that drop us down to 40 miles an hour. We'll see this usually in the spring a lot where, Wilmington, Delaware is 80 degrees and, Atlantic City is 49.
Right.
And it's because of these strong northeast winds with this front, and it's not bringing any rain, but it's bringing northeast winds like that. So, that's something that can happen too. And I think even earlier, and it might have been like maybe September or August, there was a period we had a lot of east winds just because high pressure, which spins clockwise, was sitting in New England. So if you think about clockwise motion, it's an easterly wind. And again, partly sunny, but we had nuisance coastal flooding.
So if someone did not read Joe Martucci's forecast,
I hope they do.
and they walked outside and it was sunny out, what other signals would there be for someone to say, hey, it might actually be flooded, you know, on the barrier island?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking for a strong east wind. So if you kind of, you know, if you're in Anchorage Township and you kind of know which way east is, and you see the winds blowing at you, you might think that there's coastal flooding at the shore. And that's another thing, you know, as far as messaging goes, you know, when we're talking about coastal flooding, I mean, the area that we cover is, you know, Southern Ocean, Atlantic, Cumberland, and Cape Bay. Not everybody lives at the shore. So you always have to like give credence to everybody. You gotta talk about, because again, going back to 2 weeks ago, if you were not on the barrier islands or along the bay, it was a pretty nice couple of fall days.
It was. Yep.
So you got to be cognizant of that kind of messaging as well.
And of course, the Weather Service, it's coastal flooding is something that, you know, we can predict ahead of time. So it's not going to all of a sudden sneak up on you. Maybe the severity of it can. It can be worse or less than forecast, but we know the tide, we know the moon, everything Joe said, all the variables. We're going to know the wind direction, the water levels, what astronomical tide we're in, and we put out the advisory or warning. The Weather Service does, you know, hours and hours before the flooding happens.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and they've really been very good with the coastal flooding this year. So shout out to everybody in the National Weather Service.
And Joe actually worked, we were at a conference together. So meteorologists, I don't want to say we compete against each other. We work for competing organizations sometimes, but meteorologists are a very close-knit community. So Joe was on a panel discussion up at the National Weather Service, a very well-attended conference, and he was one of the media experts on that panel, you know, addressing some of these issues. So.
Yeah, and we talked about the Coastal Coalition a little bit in that panel discussion as well.
He did. He gave the Coastal Coalition a shout out.
Yeah, both you guys a shout out. Yeah, no problem.
And the cameras that we have along the shore, the camera in Sea Isle right now that is functioning on our website that shows hot spots that you can see. And the ideal here is to get functioning cameras in every shore town so you can know exactly what is happening. We have tide gauges we monitor, that's a number.
Yeah.
But it's actually nice to see the picture. As you said earlier, some people are visual, like the video. Some people like words.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like a crunch time where they, you know, are trying to leave somewhere and they want to determine whether or not they can drive through their street. Having that webcam available as a live feed to say, oh, okay, it's not flooded right now.
Yeah.
That's helpful in those situations where you can't go through articles or check the forecast, whatever.
Yeah, and just talking about like messaging again, like it's 2019, you know, you got to be like kind of everywhere, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like that's just part of the way life is. I mean, you know, I remember when I was interning at News 12, and this was 2012, no pun intended. But when I was there, you know, Facebook, yeah, maybe it posted Facebook a little bit, but it wasn't really like the thing. You know, now social media is the thing, but you got to be out elsewhere. You know, some people want to consume their content in video, some people want to consume their words, podcasts, social media, and you kind of have to be there. That's how you win, you know, at communicating.
Now, do you think there is such thing as too much posting in meteorology?
I mean, you know, I think it's more of, you know, if you're talking about social media specifically.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's more of, I think there's like kind of unwritten social media rules as opposed to, you know, meteorology. So for example, like Facebook, you're not going to be posting something every 10 minutes, but it's just the way the Facebook algorithm works, you don't really get it out to everywhere. So you want to kind of keep it like, you know, once an hour. You know, I don't do once an hour, but I kind of at some points, you know, once an hour, once every 2 hours. Twitter's just kind of like a free-for-all, like go crazy, post whatever you want. You know, Instagram stories are hot in the streets now, you know, so we try to do things with that. I've been trying to post more weather stuff to Instagram rather than my CBS receipt from a couple days ago. But
how long was the CBS receipt?
So I was at CBS on Thursday. Shout out to CBS, got a flu shot, and it was a free flu shot. All I needed was a free flu shot to give me a short receipt. So I was very happy this time. So if you want a short receipt from CBS, just get a flu shot. But you got to be here.
Now this viewer needs a precise number here with respect to snow. How many days off will the kids have this year in Mays Landing?
In Mays Landing.
And this is set.
This is from the studio audience.
Right. This might be a studio audience question to say. Well, You know, so I'm prepared for this question because I was in Vineland on Wednesday and someone asked me the exact same question. I said, you guys are usually good for 2 or 3, so we'll go with that.
Okay.
That's right.
And I've learned it's very challenging to forecast because you can get the time the snow begins exactly right, the time the snow ends exactly right, how much snow falls exactly right. And then I'll say, oh, we're getting like an inch of snow and it'll be over with by 6 a.m. Still definitely have school. And so I nailed everything except an inch of snow canceled school in South Jersey. So every school was shut down and I was totally wrong even though the weather was right. So I always answer that question, I leave snow to the superintendent.
Right.
Yeah.
Very hard, and I used to work, you know, when I was at WeatherWorks, we used to deal with a lot of this one-on-one, and it's so much dependent on what town are you in, are you in private school, public school, how big's the busing, it's more factors like that than how much snow is happening. Like when I went to high school, we were actually a high school that closed a lot, just because of the busing, but that wasn't always the case, you know, depending on where you were at.
I will tell you a 30-second condensed story. When I was a kid, the superintendent of the Cumberland, Rhode Island schools lived in our block. So we thought he looked out the window and decided if school was canceled or not based on the
know where
road.
this is going.
So we would actually, as a neighborhood, all go to his house,
Yeah.
shovel snow on the road in front of his house, and whenever school was canceled, we thought it was because of us. So apparently there's more to it than him looking out the window.
Is that how you became interested in weather, Dan?
It was actually Hurricane Gloria.
Okay.
But my snow is my favorite type of weather.
That poor guy either had to take extra time shoveling or pay extra money.
He did. He
for
always had
someone
tons
to
of
shovel.
snow in front of his house.
Oh my God.
Kids were very proud of that.
Now,
Chris-
if you did get off from school, did you shovel?
no,
his
we didn't show
driveway,
with
or-
that. No, absolutely not. No, our job was done. We went sledding.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to actually do something similar for snow too, try to get the drains clogged, which I shouldn't say right now, because that's not a good thing to do. That when I was 8 years old.
Hey, whatever works from your
Well, that
kid, right? To
leads
get that
to-
snow day.
Since this is
It does
a
leave
flooding
flooding,
show,
Yeah.
what happens when snow melts? You know, it can.
Well, it goes in drains.
And we saw that with Jonas to a
Yeah.
degree, which clogged a lot of the drains, and that caused some major flooding. Jonas was worse than Sandy from about Sea Isle on south, so that had storm drain connections there. Let's say hi to some viewers. Kristen Kaiser says hello, regular viewer. She says no rowdy football fans tonight. Not for
Not
about
yet.
another hour. Then
Yes.
the rowdy fans will
I
get
think
there.
tidal flooding talk will probably be over by then.
We hope so. I think our director will shoot us if we go past 8 o'clock. But plus he's one of the rowdy fans.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So let's see. Kristen, nice to have you on. Nice and quiet. Dallas isn't playing, so no one rooting against them. The Eagles are playing, no one rooting for them. And your Ravens are off to victory. So
There we go,
Yeah,
baby.
I'm not sure if you watched last week's show, but
I did catch a part of it.
yeah, we were.
probably didn't hear
It was
anything.
pretty
besides
loud
yelling.
in this bar for there not being an Eagles game.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that where the Dallas part came in?
Yes, apparently there were hundreds of Dallas haters here. Well, hundreds. It sounded like hundreds. There were like 5.
Well, I didn't see an empty seat at the bar.
No, there were 5. They were here. They were very, very passionate Dallas haters, which I guess comes with being an Eagles fan.
Dallas Straws.
Betty and Morgan Weck, Kim Milburn, Susan DeRoss, nice to have you guys
Love
on.
everybody.
Carlos Arona, Ray Riley, Liz Tober, Vicky Biggs, Carol Mufflin, Donna Rando. Hi to all you guys. Let's see. Anne Marie O'Donnell says hi, Joe. Let's see. Vicky Hilpin, I love the posting and updates about the weather. Look forward to Tidal Flooding Talk every week and the report from the Mount Washington Observatory too. Read the press and see weather every day.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, Sabata, nice to have you on. Hi, Joe. Hi, Coma.
So that's my tag today.
Bless you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Where is she?
I thought my mom would come, but the rain and coldness.
Yeah, it's
she
not a
was
nice
not
day to
good
be out.
sport.
But tomorrow's nice, right? Quick
Yeah,
forecast for
tomorrow's
tomorrow.
nice. Yeah, we're looking good tomorrow. Most Tuesdays looking good. Got a cold front coming through. We should see rain during the early evening to late evening hours, pretty much all evening long. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are looking pretty calm. I mean, I shouldn't say calm. It's gonna be windy on Wednesday, but calm in terms of wet wind across the area. Weekends, we'll get there.
So coastal flooding is possible tomorrow, is that what you said?
Yeah, there is a little coastal. Yes, there's a little bit of coastal flooding tomorrow. Looks to be minor flood stage across the area. So kind of nuisance flooding, kind of the usual spots, like I think, West End Avenue over here in Atlantic City, Georgetown Avenue kind of by the bridge, Wellington Avenue as well. Just the typical spots for about an hour or two. Nothing really beyond that, in my opinion.
Okay.
I've been starting to try to remember specific minor and moderate events. This way I could compare, okay, if it's in the forecast for minor flooding, I know what to compare it to. Just like last week's flooding was moderate,
Yes.
so now I'll always remember what to expect.
It's a good way to do it. Joe Martucci, how can people? I think our executive director slacking. I haven't seen the clock with the time cues. So have you seen it? All right, so I do see we're at the 25-minute mark. Joe Martucci, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah.
And follow you. What's the best way?
Sure. So, always in the Press of Atlantic City newspaper, pressafac.com/weather is where you're going to find pretty much everything. And then for social media, you can look up my name or Joe Mart WX on Facebook and Instagram, and then on Twitter at AC Press.
And how can Nicholas Huba's kids come find you if they don't get the 2 or 3 snow days?
They can come find me on 1000 West Washington Avenue in Pleasantville, New Jersey. After 9 a.m.
Noreaster, is the world going to end in 12 years?
We got a studio.
We do the global warming. We try not to talk about it's a controversial topic.
Cortez is full of.
So yes, because it's a political issue, we do not get into that discussion on the show.
We did survive the rupture, though.
Yes.
Right, that is true.
Yes, I think we're all right for the next one.
Well, Joe, as a 4-time guest, you probably know what's coming next
I don't
from
know.
Palmer.
Actually, I don't know what's coming next.
Oh no.
I mean, you've received a couple T-shirts,
Yeah,
right?
a couple
Irish
T-shirts,
Pub.
yeah.
You have a pint glass,
I
right?
think it's a pint glass, yeah.
So now it's all you can drink at the bar. Just
Any-
put it on
any,
cork.
yep.
All
Put it on
right.
corks.
Yeah.
That's
There
fine.
you go. It's all you can drink.
Tom's a great guy.
Well, drum roll.
Oh, I thought that was actually good.
No.
We do have something.
All right.
He's kind of
yeah.
disappointed now.
Look at
He wanted
Um,
to drink.
Beautiful. Look at that. This is
Handy with the
good.
coming
For the-
cold weather.
Exactly, for the
Right.
cold weather. Even maybe once the rain calms down over here, it can toss us on. It's kind of
Yeah, I might have to get
skull
myself
cap kind of
one of
weather.
those too. Yeah,
That's
there you
pretty
go.
good.
Wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it would fit over the hair, but I guess.
Well, I think we make it work. Make it work. I'm done with the hair for now. No one needs to see me after
And,
this.
and last question for
Yes.
Jennifer Reed. Joe, are we prepared from hurricanes for the rest of this year, do you think?
I mean,
You never want to give a
yeah,
definitive
I don't want to
answer.
give it.
You can give a probably
That's
or probably not. Yeah.
That's a great question.
take
I'm
the
gonna say probably we're probably done, but you really just can never say never until pretty much the end of hurricane season. Remember, Sandy happened on October 29th.
Right.
And we're on October 2012, and we are October 21st.
Yeah, so Sandy
So-
happened, yes.
the 20th.
29th.
Oh, it's
20th. All right, it's 20th. I apologize. So we got 9 days to go until we get to the Sandy anniversary.
It's our director, you better pay attention.
And November 30th,
Sure
we had
am.
the hurricane season, although hurricanes anytime, late in the season, very, very tough to get up close. So we're probably done. Totally agree with Joe. We will be back here live next week, 7 p.m. We will have
I believe 2 guests.
we have 2
right?
guests. So we're
First
we're
ever.
gonna test our production staff, and we have had in the past the Democratic Assemblymen from Atlantic County on, Vince Mazzio and John Armato. We're having the Republican candidates running against them in the District 2 race. We are bipartisan and unpolitical as we can be here, so we're having them on next week.
John Risley.
Phil Gunther and
John Risley.
So look forward to having them on, first-time guests, and we will sit down with them and talk to them about issues in Atlantic County, and amongst them, of course, what we talk about here every week.
Again, we're at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City and brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition. Thank you for joining us again, Joe, and
Anytime.
come by next week or watch us live.
Have a good night, guys.